Go Big 12 or go home. Brandon Shanahan here with Drew Russell. As always, another great week of college football. Another great week in general. Big 12 had a winning week, depending on how you look at it. But football is officially back. I mean, all the way back. We got NFL going. Thursday night football is back this week. I mean, we are full steam ahead. How are we feeling, Drew Russell?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're not a citizen of the Sunflower State, you've got to be feeling good in general of how your week twos went across the board if you're the Big 12. Obviously, maybe a little team south of Kansas as well out of Stillwater also had a pretty violent week. But a lot of positive stuff to take away from the week as well, including a Cyhawk victory for Iowa State. The insane victory for Baylor on the road at SMU was pretty wild. We'll dig into as well. Tech and Utah kind of taking care of their business, as well as pretty interesting couple road results for Big 12, whether that's a win or a loss. So pretty interesting week two, Brandon. Really excited to dive into it.
Yeah, before we dive into the Big 12, we'll hit the college football scene as a whole. Couple of I told you going into this week, it's a sneaky good week for college football. Obviously, we had the marquee names in week one: Clemson, LSU, Florida State, Alabama, those kind of Ohio State, Texas, of course. But this week, I was like, okay, well, there's not that big of a marquee matchup, or there's not a couple of them, but sneaky good games, some sneaky big upsets. Florida getting taken down by South Florida. DJ Lagway, the anointed king of college football, coming into the season for some reason, kind of being exposed as could be the fifth best quarterback in the state of Florida. Billy Napier seats all the way back toasty again. Alabama cruise.
By the way, can I talk about South Florida for just a minute? Because first off, what a crazy story. I mean, for them to great week one win against Boise State, week two going on the road, taking out Florida, and they got a big one this week. They are taking on Miami for week three, Brandon, and I love this game in so many freaking ways. This game is going to be on the CW, which is the new hot spot for college sports.
That's where elite college football is played. Make no mistake about it.
The stupidity of that channel in terms of you don't know what you're going to get. It's utter chaos. And I mean, Baylor SMU was on Saturday. It was a crazy game for them. CW has kind of reminded me of the Jefferson Pilot Sports Network back in the 90s and thousands, or Raycom Sports, in the South for the Southeastern Conference. Weird games happen. And that's where that game is going to be a top 20 matchup on Saturday on the CW, called by none other than Tom Brenneman, a.k.a. There's a Deep Drive by Nick Castellanos. That's who's calling the games on the CW. So, this game has everything for me. Not Big 12, but I don't care. You have to respect entertainment.
That is as good as it gets. There's been a lot of drama with how teams are ranked these days. I do want to give a big shout out to Kelly Ford, K Ford Ratings. He does such a great job of just putting numbers to paper and in the context of it. This is what, in theory, the top 25 ranking should be. The most deserving rankings, results-oriented measure of how a team has performed against its schedule, including scoring margin relative to how the number 12 power-rated team would be expected to perform against that same schedule. Not a power rating, he likes to clarify, but essentially just how good has your season been? How would a top 15 team, would they have more success? Would they have less success? And then voila, you see South Florida there at number 3, rightly so. A couple of really big wins against a Boise State team that, you thought might take a step back, but certainly not get blown out of the water week one against USF, and then going to the Swamp and beating up on Florida in a game where I feel like some of those games stay close because of the fact that, maybe Florida plays sloppy. I know weather was an issue down south this week, and the ball breaks a couple ways towards USF, but they looked like a team that was competing out there against Florida. So I just wanted to bring this up first and foremost. Shout out K Ford. Love his ratings.
Yeah, I think, and I do like just that he focuses on what's going on just this specific season. You don't look at the past trends. Not that certain teams might not be loaded at certain skill positions, but it's a pretty interesting chart. And when you look at especially the top 10, where you have still a lot of SEC teams, but not the SEC powers on a couple of those teams that we've been kind of accustomed to the last few seasons regarding a Mississippi State who finished dead last year. Auburn's had its struggles, but they're off to a good start. Good to see my clones at number 6 in terms of those rankings because they've gotten a couple of nice wins already. But yeah, obviously just kind of a unique exercise just from taking a look at what teams have kind of accomplished a lot already this season, even though, again, we are not even a fourth of the way through the regular season yet. So a lot of ball to be played.
So if this was the reality, we get Tom Brenneman on a top 5 matchup in Miami. I mean, how electric would that be?
I mean, that would just make me – I'm not kidding, Brandon. I feel like I would hit the lottery. Forget $1 billion. I don't need a lottery ticket for $1 billion. This is like my $1 billion ticket of Tom Brenneman getting a top 5 matchup on the CW. It really is cinema personified.
And I think the pushback to get something like this is like how it does look kind of silly compared to preseason biases, but like that's the point. Is that this is going to change significantly from week 1 to week 2. It's going to change significantly from week 2 to week 3 because we're getting more data points. By the end of the year, this isn't going to look as funky as it does now, but it is going to give us a rating of the top 30 teams in how they have come to their record, whether it's overachieving, underachieving, tough record, takes in strength of record. Like this feels like at the end of the day, a much better system than 30 college administrators, university faculty in a hotel room in Dallas putting pen to paper.
I'm telling you, Brendan, you still need to be like a bellhop at one of those hotels and find a way in, and then just start I can't even imagine you just go in, you're serving chili to these guys as a pregame soup, and then somebody says something derogatory about how Iowa State shouldn't be that high, and I could just see Brandon Shanahan just flipping the chili onto that executive suit and then saying, "Here's how you're wrong, Buster," and just pulling a Lee Corso right out of there.
Yeah,
I could see that Brandon Shanahan.
I could imagine that just going up to Kelly Whiteside and being like, "I don't know if I would do that if I were you." I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it. I'm just saying, I could just you're just doing your waiter duties, getting forks, doing what you need to do. Just a one-night job. It's give this guy an opportunity. It's just his first night, and then you just start just ripping these people. I really think it could be at you at your finest. Right?
I mean that's the circle of influence that I'm trying to strive for.
You kind of need it, in my opinion. But you know what? We can't. You're going to get there eventually, Brandon. I believe in you. We're going to make you that bellhop one day. We're going to get you that waiter job. I believe in you. You're going to get that waiter job just so you can just go up to random ADs from around the country and say, you're making $6 million and you're just going to put in LSU for no reason again. Is that how we're going to do this? That's how it's going to be. You're going to put in that 5th SEC team for no reason, that 5th Big Ten team.
Like Carla Williams, I know you get your hands full being the athletic director of Virginia, but we got to lock in a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's your job if they don't make the playoff, but you sure?
That's where
you think I still believe in the BCS. I don't care. I still like that formula in a lot of ways, Brandon, but we're not.
Who says no?
Who says no? A lot of people.
ESPN says no, actually. Any overarching thoughts about college football? Illinois blew out Duke. Michigan, Oklahoma was a football game. They did play football. They 4 quarters of it quality football. I don't know, maybe not, but they did play football. Any major takeaways outside of the dozen?
Yeah, I think one of the unique takeaways is just top teams kind of taking care of their business. LSU didn't impress me a lot after kind of a nice win on the road against Clemson. They did win 23-7, but they weren't, I don't think, mind-blowing necessarily. Also, speaking of Clemson, boy, they looked really rough.
There's a lot of games like that down south where Clemson got out real slow. LSU didn't exactly pull away like you'd like. Yeah, it was a weird day down south, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson, for all the hype coming back, you have Cade Klubnik coming back. Pretty much you're making a deep run in the college football playoff or bust has been kind of the mentality going into the season. and they have not looked very sharp through 2 games. And there's no shame to losing at LSU against LSU ever,
Right.
even at home. Like it's a good team. That said, like for them to come out as flat as they did against Troy on Saturday was pretty disappointing. They did find a way to get the victory in the end, but definitely something I think that I'm keeping an eye on going forward for a team that on paper going into the season was definitely the favorite in the ACC. But that script's flipped in 2 weeks where now everybody's thinking it might be Florida State.
Definitely interesting because it looks like both the ACC and the Big 12 have equally found more depth at the top, where last year was obviously SMU with 11 wins, and then Clemson came on late, won the ACC, and then the Big 12 had their key 4 teams, but not necessarily an 11-1 team to stand out and survive a Big 12 championship loss. It'll be fascinating to see how they play out. The SEC doesn't look nearly as top heavy. Will they get the 3 bids? Will they get 4 bids like they wanted to get last year? And the Big Ten will get 4 in. I'm not too concerned about that. But how will the rest of the playoff look?
Yeah, I think that's the big question right now. And again, like for all the, again, Big Ten, SEC do have pretty heavy power right now with a bunch of, major players in both of those conferences in terms of brands. But one thing about the ACC, even though they have gotten put through the ringer the last few years, they still have a couple of major brands in that conference, Brandon. When you look at Florida State, Clemson. And again, even though they haven't been good in 25 years, Miami is still a brand, even today, even if they haven't been good necessarily from a national championship level standpoint in 25 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to get multiple teams in, kind of like, they did last year with SMU making it, Clemson making it as well. But I think they have a chance to be a little bit heavier contenders this year. And looking at the Big 12 right now, too, again, every team's going to get their conference champion in, but the Big 12, how do you keep an opportunity where you can keep that at-large status alive as well for potentially an extra team, or if you're really feeling it, even multiple extra teams if things play out well throughout the season?
Yeah, I think the door is open, whether it is the Big 12 or the ACC that gets multiple bids. The door is open, I think, because I don't think the SEC's going to get more than 3 teams in, and that kind of opens up the door again. Notre Dame, if they stumble this week, then they're looking at having to go undefeated just to stick around in them CFP hunts. That's going to be an interesting way it breaks down because Florida State's definitely much better than they were last year. Miami, on the surface, looks better than they were last year. Clemson still looks like Clemson. SMU is what it is, but we'll see if a team like TCU or Iowa State or even Utah can, because I have a hard time imagining that any 11-1 team in the Big 12 is going to get left out. Conference championship.
I do too. I think, if you're a Big 12 team, 2 losses is probably a death sentence for this season. I don't think no matter what, maybe not a death sentence, but it's going to be pretty difficult. But yeah, I would like to think like an 11-1 team, especially if the 1 loss is on a road against a tough team or sneaky team that's okay at home. Like you have to respect that in general. So I'm kind of with you. If you're an 11-win Big 12 team, I would like to think you can make the college football playoff as net large, but who knows? Like, we got a lot of seasons still to kind of unwind this. And again, last 2 years, Big 12 has hurt itself with its playoff chances just because, it cannibalized itself throughout the season. And there was just too many losses that were picked up by top teams. And the question will be, will that narrative change as we dig more into September and then October and November too?
Digging into the actual week 2. Sorry, I just got 12 on the mind. Week 2 slates. A lot of green for the Big 12. Some big red spots. Looking at the border war, Kansas fell behind late against Missouri, Oregon, and Oklahoma State. They also technically played a football game. Kansas State fell to Army in a game where Army really dominated that second half.
Yeah.
It felt like it should be a wider margin of victory, but that's just how Army plays football. And then Arizona State's falling behind early, falling behind 3 scores at halftime, coming all the way back just to give it away. And in the last minute, 80-yard touchdown pass. followed by a Sam Levitt's tipped up interception. There were some great highlights. I think the two biggest winners being Baylor and Iowa State. And we talk about how important it is to get to that 11-win mark. First of all, if Baylor loses that game, it's statistically impossible for them to get to that 11-win mark in the regular season. But that's a game, Iowa State's, if they drop that, now you're counting on going 9-0 in the Big 12. Have fun with that. They got it done. Texas Tech kept looking like they are getting their money's worth out of this offseason. Cincinnati, Colorado also picked up some big wins. Utah still looks outstanding. 63 points. Did Cam Rising ever score 63 points in a football game in his 18 years of playing college football?
You know what? I don't have official stats with me, Brendan Shanahan, but I don't recall that happening under the Rising era.
I mean, that's a big number.
Is Utah's low-key like turned. I think you and I were ripped Utah so much last year and just in the past that I almost have to. I'm like starting to almost respect them again. Like their fan base, but it's like I'm not mad as mad as I was.
I mean, I'm definitely not rooting for them.
Sure,
but like objectively, they look like when you look at the top four of the Big 12, you think Colorado's taking a step back. You think Arizona State's taking a step back. That opens up two slots there. Utah and TCU seem to fit right in to that mold. Again, it's much funner to point and laugh at Utah than it is to sing their praises, but that's where we're at. Houston also picked up a sneaky big win, 35-9. Central Florida put up a big number against North Carolina A&T. Arizona with another big win against Weber State, and then BYU in a very late kickoff, 27-3 against an improving Stanford team. I see the vision there, and we're still not there yet. But that's where we're at. Another interesting week for the Big 12. I think a sneaky good week, but the optics maybe not as favorable as you would like.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Brandon, because, again, you look at some of the wins, and Baylor – I think Baylor had the win of the weekend. I mean, to go to Dallas, coming off a pretty disappointing week one performance at home against Auburn, and going into that atmosphere and finding a way to get it done in double overtime was a significant win for Baylor. And they showed offensively they've got the pieces to make things work, Brandon. And I think it's, can they get more consistency out of that defense? And they're pretty entertaining. I'll give Baylor this. This is an entertaining club. No question about it. So pretty big win. How about Robertson's day? 440 yards overall, Brandon, and 4 touchdowns as well through the air. So pretty significant day for him. Mentioned Iowa State, huge effort at home. Ugly game, but Cyhawks always ugly. And for them to find a way to get it done, and for Conradi to hit another large, long field goal to win it in less than 2 minutes, absolutely significant for them. But then you kind of look at those losses that, Big 12 picked up this weekend. And for Kansas, look, I think Mizzou was the better team on the day. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And, look at that. That's a fact right there.
2 for 2.
That's a fact.
If I had a nickel for every time Colin Conradi hit a 54-yard game-winning field goal in the final 2 minutes against Iowa, I'd have 2 nickels. How about that?
Yeah. How about that? Pretty special. Build a statue. I agree with that. I mean, it really is kind of remarkable for this kid. No name. Again, when he came in last year, I remember when that final kick against Iowa in Iowa City, I thought that was a heck of a drive. There's no way. Like, this is a freshman kicker being asked to kick a 53-yarder.
That was a crazy kick.
I just was like, I know it's not. Like, it was just like, this is an Iowa State moment.
Yeah, I've seen this movie
it's not going to
before.
happen. And then he just drills the thing. Just perfection. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Like, they just did that. And so, it was funny. Like, when he lined up for the 54-yarder, as bad as, like, in a way, clock management, like, they didn't even try to get closer. They're just like, no, we trust this kid to hit a 54-yarder. And I wasn't even phased. I was like, he's going to hit it.
Yeah, all right.
Like, yeah,
2 minutes left now.
He did.
Got to get it stopped.
I don't know. I thought it was just incredible. It shows Iowa State kickers have usually been a little bit inconsistent at times in the past. I mean, they've had a couple of great kickers. Brett Culberson was a great one back in the thousands. I'm a big Connor Asali guy, a legend.
Of course.
Love Connor Asali. But that said, like, Yeah, it's nice to have a kicker like that that can just go out and say, I'm going to hit a 54-yarder. I'm going
Yeah.
to break a school record the week before and just, kick a
Big 12 record.
60-plus yard boot. Big 12 record. Yeah,
Yeah.
not even Iowa State. Let's just do the whole conference. So,
Yeah.
just pretty amazing what he's been able to accomplish, Brandon. No question. So,
And what impressed me so much about that game is that I have a very pro Iowa State bias. I have a very anti Hawkeye bias. So this could be that, but I went in thinking like there's Iowa State's so much of a better football team. I don't see how this game stays within a score. And then it's the formula to every single Iowa football game I've ever seen, where the ball bounces their way. They get that funky, fair catch interference, no call, muff punt that might not have even hit the returner at all. 0 for 2 by the officials. It's probably the best offensive play by Iowa all day.
Yeah.
Turns into a defensive slugfest. And it felt like Iowa State, not that they were being stopped, but they just couldn't find their footing in the second half. And like I'm just watching this. Like this is why Iowa beats teams like Iowa State. This is how they get these wins. But then all of a sudden, it's Iowa State that comes up with that win. They didn't win. It just that Brock Purdy era has scarred me. So I'm like, I know Iowa State is so much of a better football team. How does Iowa keep winning these football games? And this was that game. Like, if you told me that Iowa State was going to win, I'd be like, yeah, of course they are. They're going to have the better team. They're going to get 300 yards of offense. They're going to limit Mark Gronowski to negative 14 yards passing. Of course they are. That wasn't this game. And this was Iowa's game. It's exactly how they wanted it to go. And it still didn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I think what was amazing, Brandon, I mean, one thing that Iowa's always done so well in the Cyhawk series, they don't turn it over. And it would drive you nuts as an Iowa State fan, like they don't turn it over. They wouldn't fumble, they wouldn't throw interceptions. And I mean, underrated biggest moment of the game was in the second quarter with the Jeremiah Cooper interception for Iowa State. That led to a very short field. They were able to get it to Benjamin Brahmer for that touchdown on third down. And I mean, that was significant. I mean, for an Iowa State offense, it was not moving the football in the second quarter. And that third quarter, they only had one possession, Brandon. They go 3 and out. But I'll give them this. Like, after that fourth quarter, Iowa State had 3 possessions. They ran 6 minutes, 12 plays. They had to punt it, but at least got field position. Then that scoring drive of 13 plays, 55 yards, took 6.5 minutes off the clock. Just a heavily underrated effort. And that defense, I mean, under Haycock, just give them a lot of credit for hanging in there when they were put in some unique positions throughout the day.
After that, again, kind of an ugly game. We saw a little bit of an ugly game against Kansas State, sandwiched a dominant game against North Dakota last week. Do you feel worse or better about Iowa State today than you did at the preseason?
Oh, I think you have to feel better. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, to go 3-0, I mean, it's major. And I mean, look, their win against K-State, who knows where K-State's at right now? But it's always a rivalry game, and you found a way to get it done. To defeat the South Dakota the way they did against, I think, a very solid FCS team in South Dakota was impressive. And then again, to win the slop fest that is Cyhawk, defend their home turf, one of the underrated stats, first home win for Iowa State against Iowa in 14 years. They had lost the previous 6 Cyhawks at home. Just winning at home, Brandon, I mean, just that psychologically is huge, I think, for Iowa State fans. And, in the Des Moines Register after the game, they had a story. And, yeah, it did create a little controversy that they said they felt that Iowa State in general had a better football program and better pro shape right now than even Iowa's football program, which, look, is a pretty shocking story because even if Iowa State would beat Iowa in the past, you always felt like Iowa football just on better footing in general. Oftentimes it was Iowa State's, be one of 3 wins on the season or 4 wins on the season. And that wasn't the case here. Like, there's already a 3rd win for Iowa State. They're coming off an 11-win season. And it does feel like they're in a healthy position in terms of where the football program is. And yes, money is going to play a factor potentially in the future, but as an Iowa State fan, it's pretty remarkable just the consistency that this program has found. And even when they struggled offensively at times throughout the day, the defense kept them in it, had great kicking, and obviously got the job done. And I can't believe we're 3-0 and hopefully keep it going.
And that is a fascinating question because I think I also saw something by The Athletic of that same tune is like, who would you rather be? Iowa State, who you've built up this Big 12 contender year in, year out. There's a clear path to the college football playoff, win the Big 12. It looks like a program that can do it. 2 Big 12 championship game appearances in the last, 5 years. Matt Campbell looks like the best coach in the conference. Or you have Iowa, where you're in a league that's deeper with national title contenders, and you have this extra revenue coming in from the Big Ten, but that path gets a lot murkier. There's a lot more losses on the schedule. Who would you rather be? And I think breaking it up into 2 phases, would you rather be the best team in the Big 12 or the second or the 6th best team in the Big 10? I think you'd much rather be the best team in the Big 12. And particularly in this instance specifically, I don't think it's particularly close because you look at the outlook. Iowa has a 77-year-old head football coach, maybe not 77, but he looks every bit of it, who's just coaching around to break some records because he's been a head coach for 35 years. Shout out Mike Leach for getting the College Football Hall of Fame committee to bring down their winning percentage standards. So Kirk Ferentz now qualifies for the Hall of Fame. You have that as your head coach, who's clearly, seemingly like, and this has turned way more anti-Hawkeye than I thought this was going to.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at who you have leading the program. It seems like he's fallen behind in the current times of NIL. I mean, you spent more money on this quarterback who's thrown for 147 yards through 2 games than your entire basketball roster. And this is how it's turning out. And then Iowa State, who, despite its limitations with revenue and being in a less nationally relevant conference, has found ways to thrive. There's no indication that Matt Campbell is interested in going anywhere else. Why? It doesn't feel that competitive of a question to me.
No, I mean, in a lot of ways, it isn't right now. And I think the status of Kirk Ferentz is going to be an interesting one in the coming years for Iowa fans because Kirk's done a lot for that program. I mean, they win this week. He's going to be the all-time winningest coach in Big Ten history in terms of just total wins, which is a remarkable stat considering some of the coaches that have been in that league.
He's also got to be number 1 in total losses, right?
He probably is up there. I don't have an official number for you, but yeah, you look that one up, Brandon. But I will say regarding just him, like he's done a lot for Iowa football. I mean, he took the torch from Hayden Fry, who had a pretty good run there clearly at one time. And I mean, he's kept Iowa football very competent for a lot of years, a lot of really good Hawkeye teams. The problem is his refusal to adapt offensively the last, well, we're almost going on. I mean, this is 6, 7, 8 years now. I mean, he employed his son, who was a terrible offensive coordinator all those years. And, trying all those contract stipulations of he's got to get at least 325 points and all this. And look, I think if you're a quarterback and you're looking to play college football, Iowa football, boy, if you've seen their track record with QBs last few years, you're not exactly jumping up and down necessarily thinking I'm going to be a better QB or have the resources to succeed here, which is crazy because traditionally good offensive line, traditionally good tailbacks, but their skill positions, especially at receiver, are disappointing. So I don't know. It'll be interesting, but in terms of just, again, they have way more money from a financial standpoint. Big Ten earns way more than Big 12 schools do in terms of TV revenue and all that. But in terms of just program health and just in terms of it feels like just where a program's trending, it does feel like Iowa State absolutely is trending in the right direction currently under Coach Campbell. And yeah, for Iowa, I don't think they're trending downward necessarily, but it does feel like they're treading kind of just evenly. They're not treading upward. I will say that.
And this feels like a shitty thing to say as a Nebraska fan. I was beating Nebraska 9 out of 10 years. But I'll say that they're trending downwards. Also looked it up by a significant margin. He's got the most losses in Big Ten football history, beating out Pat Fitzgerald, who, by the way, have a hunch we haven't seen Pat Fitzgerald's last loss in the Big Ten. And then Amos Alonzo Stagg from Chicago University.
Okay.
What a name.
So I was
he had 43 years. What the heck?
I was going to say
that's impressive.
So one of my favorite coaches of all time, Brandon. Do you remember it was this head coach out in Montana Tech was the school. His name was Bob Green.
15 wins.
Yeah, Alonzo Stagg.
What a machine.
Amos Alonzo Stagg. No, this
Have you
guy's
heard
been
that
good.
name
The only reason I
before?
know about this, I have just because.
Oh my God.
So
I just thought he had a cool
no,
name.
no. So the only reason I know the name is Montana Tech had this coach a lot of years ago named Bob Green, and like this guy just was full of just the dumbest quotes. Like I'll send you a video after, but like what his final quote they showed on the local news, he's like, "Today I just like to have a talk about a quote, and it's from the famous coach Amos Alonzo Stagg. His final words were." And that was it. And it was just the stupidest stuff. That's the only reason I know that name. I didn't realize he had the success that he did, though. That's pretty remarkable, actually, with the 232. I'm going to show you. I'm going to send you this Bob Green after. You're going to love this
Oh,
guy.
man.
Just sheer chaos.
Elite.
Oh, no, the guy's hilarious. So,
First team
you got to love that.
All right.
Yeah, so
All
Amos
right.
Alonzo Stagg, shout out to you. But yes, regardless of Iowa football, I mean, it's a unique situation right now. They're still going to win games because their defense is still good, and they still have a lot of talent in the program. But again, inconsistency at the quarterback position, and then can coaching make changes in the future? I think they've got a pretty interesting situation potentially coming up in the coming years where they're going to have to maybe force Kirk into retirement or all that, but he's got a pretty good stranglehold in that athletic department. What a legend.
I love
Stagg, man. That's a freaking photo right there. Oh
I love it. Who would have thought that we would go on
I don't know.
Amos
Can we bring
Stagg
back
rant?
Suits and ties as well for coaches? Like
Yeah, it's a good look.
Kind of a nice look, honestly. So I remember when Al Golden at Miami would wear the like shirt and tie like 15 years ago. And they were really bad, unfortunately.
Elite.
Yeah, it was next level, but it doesn't matter. I don't know. Some Vince Lombardi vibes right there.
That's right.
So I love quoting him.
Looking throughout the rest of the Big 12 slate, the border war looked interesting. Do you feel any differently about Kansas today than you did going in?
Kansas I thought was outmatched. I mean, Mizzou's a good team, Brandon. I mean, they've had last couple of years been good, but man, KU, I thought, man, as good as Jaden Daniels was at times throughout that game, he didn't get help from his receivers, a couple key drops. But that defense, especially their rushing defense, Brandon, they just couldn't stop anybody. He gave up 261 yards on the ground, 334 through the air. It just felt like Mizzou was the better team. KU got off to a blazing start. I mean, to go up 21-6 after one, they get a fumble recovery, for a touchdown. Like they were feeling it early on, but I don't know if it changes anything for KU. You lose a rivalry game, which hurts, especially against a team you absolutely hate in Mizzou. But at the same time, there's still a lot of season to go. You don't lose a lot of sleep over it and hope that you can find a way to bounce back. They're fine.
Yeah. I mean, everything that they want to realistically accomplish is in front of them. I don't feel any differently about them, but I wasn't that high on them going into the year. Did kind of feel like this was the time to go and get Missouri, but it is what it is. Oklahoma State, it's over, right?
What happened to Oklahoma State, Brandon? I mean, this is downright stunning. I mean, to lose by 66 to a great Oregon team. I'm not trying to
really good Oregon team on the road.
Yeah.
Didn't help that Mike Gundy poked the bear a little bit going into the week.
Agreed. But even then, I mean, just embarrassing. I mean, this is a program under Coach Gundy that traditionally is proud, Brandon. I mean, really proud. A team that oftentimes is competing for Big 12 championships in the past. And for them, I mean, 2021, they were in the Big 12 championship game. Should have beat Baylor. And for them to, I think, just have the downfall that they've had the last 3 years is no other way to put it. It's downright just stunning in a way. And I think the question is now, unless things miraculously turn around, I think for the first time you have to really look in the mirror and say, is Mike Gundy the right guy to lead this program? And I'm not sure right now. I think they had so many magical years under him. But this is a critical time for Oklahoma State, especially in an era where the Big 12 is wide open. And it just does not feel like right now they are capitalizing on that opportunity. And I don't know if they can wait forever.
Well, and if you remember in the offseason, they did take a look at is Mike Gundy the right guy? And not to
Right.
toot my own horn here, but I tweeted it out back in December. Like, I don't know if Mike Gundy is the right guy or not, but whatever it is, whatever they decide to do, which ultimately ended up in him staying, you got to get it right. As
Yeah.
Oklahoma State going into this new look Big 12 with that power vacuum that we talk about pretty much every week, you felt like they were in good of a shape as anybody with like Kansas State and Iowa State to really take that next step and become that next Oklahoma or Texas, where you're constantly in the Big 12 title race. It seemed like they did not get that right, and it's looking like another wasted year for the Cowboys, where they're falling further behind. Not only further behind, but they're trying to get out of the cellar of the Big 12 conference, let alone try to compete for a Big 12 title or get to the college football playoff anytime soon.
Yeah, and it's funny, Brandon. I mean, 2023, I remember this. Like, they got off to kind of a shaky start in 2023. They came to Ames, they lost. They were 2-2 at the time, and they got hot at towards the middle of the season. And I think, were a 10-win club, made the Big 12 championship game, if I remember, in 2023. And I think, when we previewed the 2024 season, you and I were absolutely pretty high on Oklahoma State. They were viewed as a contender, top 3 in the conference, rightfully so. Pretty good amount of returners coming back. And, I mean, just the collapse of last season, you think, well, maybe they can get over it. Maybe just an off season, just wash it down the drain, move on. That was, I think, the worst performance. I feel pretty comfortable saying that's the worst performance in the Mike Gundy era was on Saturday. Just losing by 66 on the road. And I know, again, to a good Oregon team. I get it's a good Oregon team, but they didn't look prepared to play. They didn't look like they wanted to play, and they were outmatched from the first play till the final whistle.
Another team, again, that we figured would be in that Big 12 title race through and through, Kansas State falling to Army in a game where they only had the ball in the second half for almost 4 minutes, a total time of possession. It just sucks the life out of them. It doesn't look like they know what to do with Avery Johnson, who, by the way, Avery Johnson's been very good this year, but it doesn't seem like they're leaning into his athleticism. They're so worried about him getting hurt that, so what are we doing? We have this elite athlete at quarterback. Let him use his tools, and he's getting it done through the air more than I thought he would. But that's also where they're at. Not as dire of a spot as Kansas State, of course, but you kind of feel that way.
You do. I think, again, and for Army just wore down K-State. I mean, it really was that simple, and your defense is going to have to play that much time. I mean, K-State, Brandon, had to face 70 carries on Saturday, which is an absurd amount, and they weren't ready. I mean, seriously, they weren't ready. Let's look at this clip. I mean, this is the perfect epitome of how it played out.
This was all night.
Yeah. And, I mean, oftentimes, Army had less than 4 yards a carry. It oftentimes was a struggle to find some room on the line of scrimmage at times. I thought K-State's front seven fought very valiantly throughout decent chunks of the night. I'm not saying every play, but I thought they fought. They just got worn out. And the offense inability to stay on the field and the defense's inability, I will say, to get off the field as well, absolutely played a factor. But just, again, violent ending for a K-State team that just, I don't know, they've looked off since week 0 over in Ireland. And again, I think that loss, you kind of can say, well, unique game, a little bit of a rivalry game with Iowa State. It happens. Army's a quality team. I mean, honestly, they are a quality team. There's no shame in losing to Army in a lot of ways, but it's a home game. It's a home game you have to win, Brandon. It's a tough one for K-State. Coach Kleiman, who's done such a solid job there, taking over for Bill Snyder all those years ago. This is a disappointing start to a season, I think, that absolutely had expectations.
Another team, last game that we'll really hit on before we get into our pick'ems for the week, Arizona State making the trip to Starkville, and we kind of identify this as a tough spot at best for Arizona State to go to Starkville at night, deal with the Cowbells. They haven't looked like they've been humming on all cylinders, and it looked real bad for that first half, fell behind 17-0, came all the way back, looked like that they were going to do exactly what they did to Mississippi State last year and kind of dominate on the ground. And then all of a sudden, it's over. Mississippi State hits an 80-yard touchdown pass with a minute to go. Sam Levitt gets a pass tipped and intercepted. And now Arizona State's, as I mentioned, looks like they may not be even in that top 4 of the Big 12 as they were last year's Big 12 champs.
Yeah, disappointing for Arizona State. And I think kind of just it might be a little bit of a championship just hangover from the season before. I thought running the ball weren't too bad, Brandon. I mean, Brown and Udo both were over 100 on the ground, and they held Mississippi State 30 carries for 66 yards as a team. So I thought, in terms of running the football and stopping the run, I thought Arizona State absolutely played winning football on Saturday night. But the Sam Levitt 2 turnovers were absolutely killer on the road, digging themselves in that deep of a hole as well. And even though they had such a valiant comeback to get back into the game, they just couldn't make, those plays at the end. And obviously, defensively, after getting that field goal on that long drive, take the lead, they weren't able to, slow things down. And unfortunately for them, they just fell short.
Big 12 football in a nutshell. Before we go into pick 'em, how are the vibes? How are you feeling about how things went down?
It was a rough week, Brandon. I mean, I was all in on my Sunflower State teams, and they both hurt me pretty badly. So I know that was pretty violent. I know I picked West Virginia over Ohio. That was a difficult loss. I don't know how much confidence I had. I'm sure a bit. So it's not looking pretty. And I mean, me and Amos Alonzo Stagg, I'm not a winner like Amos Alonzo Stagg right now.
Hardly of us are.
But
also lost the third most Big Ten games in history, and he hasn't coached a game in like 100 years. But Kirk Ferentz put him in the dirt.
Kirk Ferentz is number 1. That's on me though, Brandon. I was like, oh, you know what? That's a good stat for Kirk Ferentz. And you're like, he's clearly number 1 in losses.
Yeah, by 25 games.
Yeah, that's quite a few.
And that is a lot. Pastor Gerald at Northwestern didn't win a whole lot of games either, but Hayden Fry also in the top 5. So you think of all the coaches and all the teams.
I was gonna say when you think about Big Ten history, it is amazing that there aren't like a Michigan coach or an Ohio State coach, like more of those type of coaches, but they've had decent turnover at times at both of those programs where coaches don't stay 30, 40 years.
If you lose at the clip that Hayden Fry and Kirk Ferentz do at Iowa, you don't get the second contract at schools like at almost any school statistically in the Big Ten. Different standard there in Eastern Iowa, of course. I'll take a look. Not a horrible slate. We did both miss on West Virginia. I didn't catch much of that game. Didn't think I needed to, but Ohio picked up the win there. We both whiffed on Kansas State, both whiffed on Arizona State. I fortunately did have Missouri, which is the difference here, because we both left our Big 12 allegiance to pick the Stangs. Shame on us. But 10-5, 10-4, 9-5, 4-point difference.
Yeah, pretty rough. I mean, that was we saw some tough L's, Brandon. Shame on us for maybe not having a little more confidence in Oregon. That's probably on us for a little bit. That could have probably been our 15-point game. But that said, like, I'm not too bitter in general. The West Virginia one stings. Yes, I don't regret taking SMU over Baylor. I mean, Baylor just didn't install a lot of confidence regarding their defense week 1. And I wasn't necessarily wrong on week 2. SMU scored, but Robertson was just great. So not a bad week. KU killed me. I don't regret it, though. I cannot pick Mizzou. I just can't do it. So you know what? If I have to sacrifice and take a little deficit right now, it's a light sacrifice for me personally.
Well, and I'll tell you what, if you told me that SMU was going to hang 45 on a Dave Aranda football team, I think there's no way that they're winning that football game. But they do. Zoe Robertson was great. He's really good. I'm excited to see how he plays in Big 12 play. But in credit to Baylor,
it's just the CW,
that's a tough 1-2 combo. It's the CW.
It's just the CW.
Where dreams are made.
I mean, it really is the neatest channel.
So you could put it like that. You don't have to, but you could.
I could. I did. So, I mean, no, I think it's good. But we got a pretty interesting slate this week. I think not a lot of like major games, like a lot of like on paper kind of gimmies, but still, a couple unpredictability, couple conference games. I think it should be kind of unique how things play out.
Yeah. Looking at the slate here, we'll do also worth mentioning Kansas State plays Arizona, not officially a Big 12 game, which feels very weird. It is a very unique time where we get these Big 12 non-conference games. You get Big 12 teams meeting in bowl games with BYU, Colorado last year. I wouldn't expect anything less than the Big 12. That's what Big 12 football is all about. It doesn't have to make sense all the time.
Yeah, it's never made sense, Brandon. Let's make that clear. Like Big 12 football should have a slogan that says, "We don't make sense. We don't pretend to make sense. But by gosh, you're going to watch because it's entertaining."
That's right. Well, we'll get things started. We'll go in the same kind of order that we did last week. We'll start with our most confident games, work our way down. And I'll start. This one feels fairly easy. There's a lot of – I feel very confident about almost every game here. I like TCU at home against Abilene Christian. Shout out Abilene Christian, but yeah, if TCU doesn't win this game by 30, that'll be a bummer.
Yeah, I was going to say that feels like kind of a simple game, a easy game. So I'm going to join you on that TCU Abilene Christian. Give me the, 15 big ones on that for there. And then I'm going to take Baylor over Samford. Give me that for 9 or whatever's the last number.
Yeah, just 10 games this week. So we'll start there. Let's see if I like anybody more than that. Colorado and Houston's going to be a sneaky one. Colorado playing Ryan Staub in this game. Wouldn't have pegged that as their week 3 starter, but that's where they're at. Also, real quick, Coach Sanders had an interesting comment today when asked about it. And they're like, well, how do you feel about your quarterback room not being solidified? And he's like, what? Nobody has their quarterback room solidified. Yeah, this is only a Colorado problem. Or actually, it's not a Colorado problem, but all the good teams have their quarterback room solidified. All the other good teams in the Big 12 have a QB1 that they feel better than Ryan Staub about. Yeah. So it's just another example of I don't think he's living in the same universe as us. And that's fine. That works out sometimes, but interesting comment by him. I'll take Utah against Wyoming. Laramie's a scary place to play. We've seen that. Shout out Texas Tech a couple of years ago. But Utah just looks so good. And also, if this also happened to be a game where I drop 14 or 9 points, so be it. I won't be too bummed about it.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick, Brandon. I think that's got some serious potential right there. So I'm gonna join you in Laramie, and I will take Utah for 8. And then, oh boy, after that, let's head to Jonesboro, Arkansas. Let's give me those Iowa State Cyclones at a
on
7
the road
this week. Yep, why not? They showed some juice for me last week, so I'm going to trust them.
There we go. I like that game a lot. I'll also take Baylor here for my 8-point game. Finally feels like they get to let out some frustration. They get an easier game than Auburn and SMU. Shout out the Bears for starting on such a tough slate. But hopefully they get to get right here. And then, I'll go back to Iowa State here for my 7-point game. Interesting game that they're on the road, but they've taken care of business so far. They've beaten the teams that they need to beat. Haven't run into too many troubles. And when they have, they've come out from it. So I like the Clones.
I like that too. I'll do one pick, Brandon, then I'll let you do 2. I'm going to take Cincinnati over Northwestern State. I'll take that for 6. No comment needed. I just feel like Cincinnati's got full control.
I like it. I like it enough that I will also take the Bearcats. Brendan Sorsby's been solid. Everything that they've hoped that he would be. And then, what do I got next? That was 6. 5-point game. Oh boy, now it gets tricky. Arizona State's calling for me, but Texas State's sneaky, so I'll hold off on them. I will take I'll take Pittsburgh here for my 5-point game.
Mm.
West Virginia, they are at home. Backyard brawl, very hostile environment, but boy, West Virginia does not look like a quality football team at the moment.
That's not a bad pick. And yeah, I mean, it's tough not to look at that. I'm going to go to Lubbock, and I'm going to take those Texas Tech Red Raiders over Oregon State. Texas Tech has taken care of two lesser opponents through two games. Oregon State traditionally could be a sneaky good team if they start 0-2. And even though I think it might be the best team Texas Tech has played so far, I think they'll take care of their business at home. 4-point game. I'm going to head down to Tempe. We're going to take Arizona State over, I think, a sneaky little Bobcat team in Texas State. So I don't know if it's a complete gimme. I'm kind of with you on that, Brandon, but I will take Arizona State for 4.
Arizona State for 4. I think that's where I'm heading next as well. I was trying to say that would be my 4-point game as well. I don't. This isn't even that big of a dig at Arizona State and how they've played, but I do think that Texas State's one of the better group of 5 teams that any team will take on. But I do think that they'll be able to take some load off of Sam Levitt a little bit and kind of ride that run game that we saw good flashes out of last week in Starkville once they got that going. Hopefully they don't have a 17-0 deficit to take care of, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Arizona State again. How do they bounce back? And again, they lose Saturday night to Mississippi State, but you know what? Full conference slate ahead. What kind of damage can they do in that conference slate? And this is kind of their last opportunity to tune up before they get into that 9-game stretch.
And I'll also burn my 3-pointer here. Give me Texas Tech. This should be the best team that they've played so far, but they have also looked every bit of what they spent in the offseason. So hopefully they keep it rolling. This does kind of feel traditionally like the classic Joey Maguire game where we're finally buying in on Texas Tech again and they let us down. But year 3, I did this year 1, did this year 2. 3 for 3. Give me the Red Raiders at home.
Yeah, you and I are ready to live in pain again, Brandon. I do like this Tech team. There is a certain energy to them. Let's get hurt. I'm so ready to get hurt. So do your worst to us, Tech. We're ready, maybe. So I'm going to go to – oh, boy. This is now getting interesting. I will also go to Pittsburgh, West Virginia, and I'm going to take Pittsburgh for 3. And I can just feel the West Virginia fans yelling at me through the screen. This is such a tough one, Brandon, because I've learned to hate Pitt just because I know a bunch of West Virginia fans, but – West Virginia, uninspiring performance against Ohio last week, but they should be a great atmosphere in Morgantown. Hopefully they can find a way, but I got to take Pitt for 3. And then for 2, I'm going to head up to Houston, and I'm going to take the Houston Cougars over Colorado for 2 at home.
Let's see here. I'll finish up my board here. Boy, I might just have an egg on my face picking Kansas State again. But this kind of feels like their season's really falling beneath the wayside. This feels – I'm not sure I feel that much better about them to take them on the road here in this non-conference game. But it does feel like they'll have way more urgency than Arizona. So I'll take them for my 2-point game. And then I'll tell you what, if they had just kept going with Caden Slater at Colorado, probably wouldn't think twice about it, taking the Buffs on the road. But if they don't feel good about their quarterback room, why would I have any confidence in them? So yeah, I'll take Houston here. Connor Weigman, QB1 there. How high his ceiling is, I don't know, but they at least feel good enough about him to not start quarterback 3 over their 5-star freshman and high dollar transfer. So I like the Cougars here. Not by much. They're just my 1-point game, but that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. And I'll tell you what, Brandon, just to keep it interesting, give me those Arizona Wildcats for 1 in Noah Fafita. I trust. Why not? And I got to say, I think I've loved the energy that Tucson has shown so far this season. Tucson and Tempe both been showing out for their teams, which has been really nice to see. So shout out to the state of Arizona for showing up for your team so far. Keep it up.
Yeah, Arizona, sneaky good start. 40-6 win against Hawaii. 48-3 win against Weber State. They've been sneaky. I feel like everybody kind of got bit by them last year, thinking that they would be as good as they were. But, I mean, 2-0 start. Noah Fafita has been solid. 434 passing yards. He's got 6 touchdowns, no picks. So he's looking like he could be in that top tier of the Big 12 conference. It's loaded with quarterback play. I don't hate that at all.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting too because Arizona last year. I mean, I remember the expectations that they had. They lose Jed Fish to Washington, but we thought they would be a lot better than they were last year. Is there a little bit of a revival going on in Tucson? I think we'll get a decent idea on Saturday.
I think so too. But that is it for our program. Lots of good stuff going on here at the SVSM channel. Of course, we got Corner's Connection throughout the week. We got Sundays with the Sprinkle on Saturday mornings. Any final thoughts on the week before we head out?
Well, Brandon Shanahan, I think in general, Big 12 has to, again, continue to find wins. And I'm really keeping a close eye on that Pittsburgh-West Virginia game this weekend. I'm curious if West Virginia can kind of bounce back after their difficult loss. I'm with you on Kansas State, seeing their season kind of in a teetering position right now. And can Utah and Texas Tech and Iowa State, the 3 ranked teams in action this week, take care of their business against teams that they're supposed to winning, especially Utah and Iowa State, playing kind of sneaky, difficult road games. Laramie's not an easy place to play. And who knows what happens on Jonesboro, Arkansas on a Saturday afternoon. I'll be there, so I'll give you that detail next week. But let's see if they can take care of their business. But a lot of excitement ahead, and obviously just great to have football back.
Nowhere else we'd rather be. Shout out to Amos Alonzo Stagg, a new show favorite. That'll do it for us here tonight.
Yeah.